Hello everyone, my name's Kyle and this will be the 6th video installment of my YouTube lecture series about overarching trends in religion. Today's video is going to be called You Can Only Hurt Yourself, and we're going to talk about this on two different levels. The first one will be philosophical, while the second one will be in a religious sense. So on the philosophical end of why you can only hurt yourself, it's because you get to choose what's good and what's bad in your life. Now, typically we all work from the golden rule that we were taught, which was treat others how you want to be treated. However, this is not actually the golden rule, because if I was to say, you know what, I want a beer, let's give everyone a beer, let's universalize this. Because I want this, I should give other people what I want. Someone who's a recovering alcoholic being given a beer would actually be a very bad thing for them, and that would create a lot of anxiety and tension in their lives. So that can't be a good thing if we universalize everything everyone wants. So the best way to really look at the golden rule is to treat others how you would want to be treated if you were them. And it's for this basic reason that God has no reason to punish anyone, because we're going to do it ourselves. If you do something that's against the moral or ethical code that you were raised with, you're going to feel anxious, you're going to feel sad, you're going to form stress in your body, so you'll start having ulcers in your abdomen or in your mouth, or you're going to have trouble sleeping, and this is you punishing yourself. Past this, if you break the law, other people are going to come at you. That's why we have courts. That's why, in some countries that don't have as detailed of a court system, if you do something that violates the moral standard of that country, you could get beaten up in the alley, and that's just how it works. So God has no need to punish us because the humans will take care of it themselves. So that takes care of the philosophical end, and now we're going to move more towards the religious end. So before you're born and after you die, you're not anything. You experience non-being. And while you live, you experience being. However, there's really no way to experience non-being, because think about it. What's the sensation of nothing? You can't touch nothing, you can't see nothing. You can only experience being. And it's in the sense that the world's, or I'm hoping that everyone's come to term with this in their lives, is that after you die, the world's going to continue on. And that's basically what the first law of thermodynamics says, which is that energy can't be created or destroyed, so there always has to be this continuous being. So the concept of non-being is really just because we've lost our marker in being, but the energy still continued moving. So I'm going to offer two relatively easy ways to look at this. The first one is going to be, imagine a fish inside of the sea. So the body of the fish would be us. We exist within this, ever-moving bit called creation. However, the sea is also, in a sense, within the fish, because as it breathes in, the water comes in, it moves around its organs, so they have to coexist. Along with it, let's stick with the water sense, because this is pretty easy to do with reincarnation. So if you have the ocean, it can form waves at the top. So it can go from non-being a wave into being a wave. And the waves can be bigger, smaller, faster, prettier. There's all these different things we can call about the wave. But the matter of fact is, first off, the wave never leaves the ocean because it's always part of it. And when it's done being a wave, it goes back to being the ocean, which is how we are. Another way to look at this reincarnation system is the overarching concept that I've been talking about in the series, which is everything must inner be. So let's talk about flowers again, because this is one of my favorite talking points. So if you have a flower in nature, it can't exist without some type of pollinator. So that usually is the bees. And the bees can't exist without the flowers, because without there being the pollen for them to move, they have nothing to make their honey, and they'll starve to death. So because these two require each other to exist, that means that they are fundamentally part of the same being. And I know your first argument is going to be, they look nothing alike. Think about it. Does your hair look like your fingers? No. But they're still considered your body in this technical sense of what you are. Okay, and your second argument to this is going to be, well, they don't have the same genetic structure. All right, so if you go back in the evolution of cellular biology, billions, trillions of years ago, however long time actually extends, when you look at how the cell originally formed, the mitochondria used to be this ancient bacteria that became codependent with everything that was in the cell and ended up going into them. So technically, this mitochondria is actually this ancient, passenger that's hanging out with you. But do you exclude that from your body just because it has this codependent, manifestation? No, you consider that to be a part of yourself. And it's in the same reason that everything is itself. Now, there is a ayat, which means verse, in the Quran that says loosely, if you're thirsty and you're in the desert, you're going to see a mirage. So you go towards the mirage, and once you get there, you see there's nothing. And it's in this moment that you see Allah. And it's because if we understand that the mirage, or the Buddhist idea of dukkha, which is suffering, is all that there is, then we find that there really is nothing. And it's when you recognize the emptiness of illusion that you're able to find Allah, nirvana, or moksha, which would be liberation of the reincarnation or belief cycle that we are part of all this. And I understand, if you're raised in an Abrahamic religion, it can be kind of scary to say that the world is empty, because that means everything's an illusion and you don't have to take anything seriously, which goes directly against what your pastors and other religious experts have told you, because they were indoctrinated into a system of believing someone else and following these rules. However, if you follow a more Western religion that's based around shamanistic practices, the process of becoming a shaman is to go into the woods, leave society, and focus on who you were before your mother and father conceived you. So, in conclusion of this video, you are your friends as well as your enemies, because everything is just a manifestation of yourself. Even though, my belief of I'm Kyle, or your belief of whatever your name is not true. We're actually just this one giant experience, similar to if you had two hands finger fencing. The right hand wouldn't know what the left hand's doing, because it wouldn't be interesting. The same way if you've ever tried to play yourself in chess. If we weren't wearing these masks and trying to make all of these different moves, it would just be so boring to exist as this, one solipsistic being that is everywhere. So you are your friend as well as your enemy. You're a grain of sand in the beach, and you're also the spiraling arms of the galaxy. And you need to understand that the inside and outside of you is this subjective belief that means as little as saying, hey, this is left or right of me, because you are actually everything. And to take this to an extreme, this means that you were Hitler and you were the millions of Jews that died at, his expense. This means that you were Genghis Khan and you were everyone he slaughtered. So all suffering and all joy is yours. So it's up to you to move past this concept of saying, oh man, I don't like this, I'm going to do something bad to be vengeful or vindictive and get them back. Because in reality, you can only hurt yourself, because everything here is you or me or us. So please, if you're trying to find a way to get things to work perfectly for you, learn to love another the way you love yourself, because that is the highest truth of all. Thank you.